And yet, I heard recently that you said if your kids or a kid wanted to get into the business, what would your reaction be? Because I know what mine is.
Yeah, I feel like they should wait until they're grown-ups.
It's a name that's practically royalty in Hollywood. We know her as a champion of feminism, an advocate for social causes, and a voice for progressive ideals. But now, she's facing backlash like never before. It seems Natalie Portman's own woke words are coming back to haunt her. If you've kept an eye on Natalie Portman over the years, you'll know she's not afraid to speak her mind. And for a while, that outspokenness earned her applause. But it also came with a lot of expectations, ones she hasn't exactly lived up to. Let's rewind to the 2018 Golden Globes, the height of the Nelk Me Too movement, when Portman took the stage to announce the nominees for Best Director.
Here to present the award for Best Director.
And here are the all-male nominees.
And what did she say? Looking right at the audience, she called out all male nominees, starting thunderous applause from the crowd. Hollywood praised her as a feminist icon, and social media hailed her bravery for standing up for women in an industry infamous for its inequality.
You're like, wide.
Here's where things get interesting. Since that big moment on stage, Natalie has starred in 8 movies. And guess how many of those were directed by women? 0.
How did you know that?
Shira texted me about your dad, so I came here.
Not a single one. In an industry where top actresses have the power to choose projects and even bring on directors, this is a pretty glaring inconsistency. Hollywood peers, like Kirsten Dunst, subtly hinted at this during a roundtable, pointing out how it's not actually difficult to work with female directors. You just have to want to.
I've worked with so many female directors. I have really strong female relationships. Sofia Coppola, obviously, I'm going to work with her again this year. My girlfriends who did their first movie. I've done Leslie Headland. I've worked with so many female directors, and I think it's up to us as actresses too to I think to give the opportunity to first-time directors. I mean, most of those people, it was their first time.
Dunst mentioned she's worked with several women in the director's chair, saying she prefers it, which puts Portman's lack of female collaborations in a pretty awkward light. The very people Portman was rallying against at the Golden Globes can't make this choice for her. Only she can. But as they say, actions speak louder than words, and Portman's silence on her own choices is deafening. Just look at this old video that resurfaced of her swearing in another language.
What is your favorite curse word?
There's one in Hebrew. Well, it's actually in Arabic, but you use it in Israel. Kusemek. It means your mother's vagina.
If calling out Hollywood's male-dominated director lists wasn't enough to shake up Natalie's image, her next stance took things to a whole new level. It's no secret that Portman has been vocal in supporting the defund the police movement, tying her stance to her own white privilege.
Before, Natalie Portman has come out in favor of defunding the police. Very brave stuff, extremely heroic. Here's what she said on Instagram. She said, "When I first heard hashtag defund the police, I have to admit my first reaction was fear. My whole life, police have made me feel safe. That's exactly the center of my white privilege. The police make me, as a white woman, feel safe, while my black friends, family, and neighbors feel the opposite. Police make them feel terror, and for good reason. Police are the 6th leading cause of death of black men in this country. These are not isolated incidents. They are patterns and part of the system of over-policing of black Americans. Reforms have not worked. Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered, is one of the most progressive police forces in the country, having undergone extensive anti-bias training."
Natalie Portman even endorsed police abolition, implying that society might function better without law enforcement as we know it. However, in 2022, while filming her Apple TV show, Lady in the Lake, in Baltimore, her crew was met with a harsh reality in a city struggling with a crime wave. The production team found themselves the target of local criminals, reportedly confronted by armed individuals demanding $50,000 in extortion. Forced to halt filming, they had to flee the area entirely. It's a perfect storm of irony. An actress advocating for police abolition finds herself in need of the very protection she's been denouncing. Portman's crew wasn't dealing with a random pickpocket. This was a full-on extortion attempt. Sure, crime can happen anywhere, but Baltimore's crime surge after the 2020 riots is no secret. Portman, who had supported the defund movement from the comfort of her privilege, was suddenly facing the real-world impact of her own activism. And in this case, it wasn't just her who paid the price, but her entire crew. In an interview earlier this year, Natalie Portman made a comment that shocked even her most loyal fans. She essentially said that Hollywood movies have become niche, admitting that traditional film no longer holds the same cultural power it once did. If you ask my kids about movie stars, they don't know anyone, Portman explained, saying they know YouTube stars instead. She even mentioned that there's liberation in Hollywood's fading prominence, as it allows her to focus on what she finds personally meaningful rather than simply going for what's popular. It's a fascinating stance from someone who has benefited from the very spotlight she's now turning away from. Award shows that once drew massive viewership now struggle for ratings. Big budget movies aren't the cultural giants they used to be. Instead, people are tuning in to online content, streaming platforms, and creators who feel more real than Hollywood's scripted glamour.
In Obi-Wan as well. So if I got to work with her, I would do anything with her.
Okay, it's out there.
So Natalie, you're known as a woman who supports other women.
Thank you.
Bravo. And you co-founded Angel City Football Club, which is a soccer team?
Yes.
Actually, why do they call it football? Whatever.
Natalie's acknowledgement of this reality almost sounds like acceptance of Hollywood's shrinking influence. Yet, it's clear not everyone in Tinseltown is as at peace with this as she is. But we're not done yet, because if you think Hollywood's decline is just about viewership, there is more depth to Portman's statements than meets the eye. Hollywood has branded itself as the heart of progressive ideals, promoting gender equality and women's empowerment at every turn. But when Natalie Portman talks about supporting female voices, her record doesn't quite match up. And it's not just about her work, it's also about her comments on method acting, a practice she recently criticized. Portman stated that method acting is a luxury that women can't afford, implying that women's roles as mothers prevent them from fully immersing themselves in character the way male actors often do.
Actress Natalie Portman has given us some food for thought. The Oscar winner told the Wall Street Journal that she's never tried method acting, a technique where an actor tries to become their character in every way. Natalie says it's a luxury women can't afford. If she made her children or partner call her Jackie Kennedy, for instance, no one would understand.
And partners prevent them from fully immersing themselves in character the way male actors often do. The backlash was swift. Fans and critics questioned this reasoning, pointing out that plenty of female actors, even those juggling family life, have mastered intense roles without complaining about gender-based limitations. They pointed to Portman's own history, living a life of Hollywood privilege that enables her to tackle complex roles without the constraints faced by ordinary women. But instead of acknowledging her unique position, she implies that women everywhere face the same barriers. And this disconnect hasn't gone unnoticed. The conversation quickly moved to social media, where commenters weren't shy about calling out the privilege Portman claims to despise. By now, the phrase "get woke, go broke" has become a rallying cry for those frustrated with Hollywood's focus on virtue signaling. It's the idea that by prioritizing politics over storytelling, Hollywood is alienating its core audience. And in Portman's case, the fallout has been severe. Not only are big studios losing money at the box office, but movies that carry overly woke themes are often flopping. Portman's own acceptance of this is intriguing. While she talks about liberation and moving on to other art forms, what's really happening is a cultural shift. People are tired of celebrities who project moral superiority without taking real action. They don't want to hear millionaires lecture them about equality or police privilege. They want to see engaging, honest stories, not constant reminders of Hollywood's social consciousness. Just take a look at her Oscars dress. Natalie Portman is fast becoming the symbol of this hypocrisy as someone who speaks out on progressive issues, but falls short when it comes to meaningful change. Still, the Hollywood elite doesn't seem to be learning its lesson, and Portman's ongoing statements are a prime example of this bubble mentality. When you combine all these factors, Portman's failure to uplift female directors, her stance on defunding the police, and her dismissal of Hollywood's declining relevance, you get a picture of a celebrity increasingly out of touch with her audience.
Trying to make it feel like a consistent character when
Was
you're filming
Suffragette
everything out of
a difficult role to play?
Yeah, Suffragette was difficult because she was an ordinary woman, a completely ordinary woman, and then by the end she's almost radicalized, and trying to make her a consistent person, I guess. But it doesn't seem like one person at the beginning of the story and then suddenly she's just transformed and now she's a really brave woman, And there was lots of kind of tricky stuff in it, but all the scenes that you always think are really hard are the reasons that you take the job. So, they're the really, the ones that you build up to and think, oh my God, I'm gonna get to that day.
It's the same Hollywood bubble that allows stars to project idealism without considering the impact on regular people. While Portman talks about being liberated from the pressures of mainstream popularity, others in the industry aren't so lucky. Thousands rely on Hollywood's success for their livelihoods. And for them, the industry's decline isn't just philosophical, it's financial. And here's the thing, Portman seems blissfully unaware of the double standard she's setting. On one hand, she promotes feminist ideals and social justice, yet on the other, she continues to act in ways that contradict her words. It's almost as if she's forgotten that fans see through the Hollywood facade. They don't just hear her Golden Globe speeches, they watch her career choices and follow her actions. The more she leans into woke ideals without practicing what she preaches, the harder it becomes to take her seriously. So, what's your take? Is Natalie Portman just another Hollywood star who talks the talk but refuses to walk the walk? Or is she genuinely trying to make a difference in an industry known for its hypocrisy? Let us know in the comments below. And if you think Hollywood's constant virtue signaling deserves to be called out, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.